Hey there, and welcome. So today we are diving into a really fascinating framework, one that promises a path to, believe it or not, permanent peace. And it gets there by taking a hard look at three of our most basic beliefs about how reality works, and it uses science to do it. So let's get into it and see how questioning these illusions might just be the key to a much calmer life.
I'm going to start with a really direct question for you. Would you like to live a life that's, well, free from the weight of all that negative stuff? Fear, guilt, anxiety. I think for most of us the answer is a definite yes. And the material we're looking at today suggests the key to getting there is actually way simpler than you might think.
Okay, so here's the core idea. Our unhappiness comes from a huge misunderstanding about our place in the universe. And to explain this, our source uses this amazing analogy. Picture an actor, right, in the middle of a massive blockbuster action movie who suddenly gets amnesia.
This really breaks down the whole problem. The actor completely forgets he's on a set. He forgets there's a script, that the other people are stunt performers, so the explosions, the car chases, the fights, he thinks it's all real. And because of that, he feels genuine, crippling terror. But here's the thing. His suffering, as real as it feels to him, is based entirely on an illusion. He's just forgotten what's really going on.
And this is where that analogy just clicks right into place for us. In our story, the story of our lives, the writer was the Big Bang. That was the event that kicked everything off. And the director, the force that's guiding every single move, that's the laws of physics. The argument here is that you, me, all of us, we aren't the ones choosing our actions. We are being acted upon by these fundamental forces. And that brings us to our first really big illusion.
All right, so the very first idea we need to tackle is what the source calls the free will fallacy. Honestly, if you can wrap your head around this one, it's the key that unlocks this entire way of thinking.
We all kind of feel like we know what free will is. The official definition is basically the power to act however you want, at your own discretion, without being forced by cause and effect. It's that feeling that we are in the driver's seat, making the decisions. But is that what's really happening in our heads?
Let's try a quick experiment right now. Just think about your last thought. Whatever it was, where did it actually come from? Did you, like a little version of you inside your head, decide, okay, my next thought is going to be this? Or did it just pop into your head out of nowhere? That simple question starts to show the cracks in this whole idea of free will. So let's break this down logically. 1. Our thoughts are real physical things. They're electrochemical events happening in our brain. 2. The brain is basically an organic machine, and it runs on chemistry. 3. Chemicals have no choice but to obey the laws of cause and effect. So 4. If all the parts follow cause and effect, then the output, your thoughts, must also be just another link in that same unbreakable chain. And this is not just some philosophical idea. There is some serious science that points in this direction. In actual experiments, neuroscientists can hook you up to a brain scanner and predict your decision to, say, move a finger a full second and a half before you are even consciously aware that you've made a choice. The decision happens first, and the feeling of deciding comes way later.
So, okay, who cares, right? Well, this is the payoff. Look at this. If you believe in free will, you might feel just awful, just full of guilt over something you did. But if you don't, you realize, hey, I did the only thing my brain chemistry could have possibly done in that moment. And the same goes for anger. If other people are also just acting out their own programming, how can you be angry at them? Guilt and anger, they just don't have a leg to stand on anymore. So let's move on to the second illusion.
This second illusion challenges something that feels even more real to us than free will, and that's our experience of time itself. We feel it, right? It feels like a river, just flowing, carrying us from the past and into the future. But modern physics has a very, very different take on this.
According to Einstein's theory of relativity, space and time are actually woven together into this four-dimensional thing called space-time. And the best way to picture it isn't a river. It's more like a giant, static block of ice. Every single moment, the past, the present, and the future, already exist all at once, frozen inside this block. We're just sort of experiencing one slice of it after another.
And look, this isn't some fringe idea. This is Albert Einstein himself. He wrote this in a letter. For physicists like him, he said, that feeling we have of a past, present, and future, it's just an illusion. A really, really stubborn one, but an illusion nonetheless.
To help this make sense, here's another great analogy. Think about your entire life like a TV series that's already been filmed. The whole thing is done, written, shot, edited, it's in the can.
All the episodes already exist. You're just sitting on your couch watching them play out, one day at a time. The finale is already there. You just haven't watched that far yet.
And again, let's bring it back to what this means for us. If the future already exists, if tomorrow's episode is already filmed, then what is the logical point of feeling fear or anxiety about what might happen? I mean, worrying about a future that has, in a very real sense, already happened, it's kind of like worrying about the ending of a movie you've already seen. It just doesn't compute.
Okay, this brings us to our third and final illusion, and this one is maybe the most personal of all. It's the idea that there is a single, stable, continuous you. Who or what is actually the one experiencing this life?
I'm just going to put a number up here. 98%. What in the world could that be?
Well, that's the percentage of the atoms in your body that get replaced every single year. The physical you from last year is almost completely gone. It's been swapped out bit by bit with new atoms from your food and the air you breathe. You're not a thing. You're a process. You're a constantly shifting colony of ancient stardust.
And if you trace those atoms back, I mean, it's just incredible. The hydrogen that makes up most of your body, that was created in the Big Bang itself nearly 14 billion years ago. The carbon and oxygen, forged in the fiery hearts of stars that died billions of years before our own sun was even born. The stuff you are made of is literally cosmic and ancient.
The physicist Richard Feynman put it so perfectly. He said, the thing we call me, our individuality, it's not a solid thing at all. It's just a pattern or dance. The atoms flow in and out, but for a little while, that beautiful pattern, that dance, keeps going.
So, let's tie these three big ideas together. If there's no free will, if there's no flowing time, and if there's no fixed you, then how in the world are we supposed to live? Well, the answer is pretty simple. You just watch the movie unfold.
And here it is, the whole framework in a nutshell. If you accept there's no free will, then the entire basis for guilt and anger just dissolves. If you accept that time doesn't really flow, then fear and anxiety about the future just crumble away. And if there's no solid, separate self, then there's no little I inside that you have to constantly protect and worry about. Now, this is so important. This is not a call to just stop caring about anything. Of course not. You still feel joy, you feel love, you feel sadness, you get totally invested in the story. I mean, that's why you go to the movies in the first place, right? To feel something. But when the credits roll, you don't go home and lose sleep worrying about the fictional characters because you know it was just a show. This is about living your life with that exact same understanding.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty big thought to chew on. What if you aren't just one of the characters in the story? What if you are a temporary pattern through which the entire universe is getting to experience itself? If that's the case, then what else is there to do really, but just sit back and enjoy the show?